Hello everyone, and welcome to Zentangle class number 70. We have live class going on as we speak or draw, and our next live class is going to be on Thursday, August 26th at 6:30. Start with whatever box or shape it is that you like. Obviously I draw mine a little bit bigger. You don't have to have yours quite that large, it's up to you. We're going to divide this into sections. You can divide it however you wish. If you're more of a geometrical person, you can have some straight sections, you can just do a grid. You can have triangles, you can have some wonky shapes like I do. It's up to you. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to double up after I switch my pen because I realized I have the bad one. Let me get the good one. I'm going to double up these lines. So I'm just going to draw a really thin double up here on each of these lines. And you'll see in a minute why. This is optional, but I think it looks a little bit better. So it's really just two lines close to each other. Pretty close. It's up to you how close you want to get. I'm going to work in this top section here. And I'm just going to start on whatever corner, it doesn't matter. I'm going to draw some wonky, basically triangles in this section. They're wavy lines, they're not straight, they're just kind of really wavy and wonky. So I'm just going to keep going like this, just drawing a triangle inside of a triangle until I get to the center. Now that I have that completely filled, again, those lines don't touch at all. I'm going to start coloring it in. I'm starting with my regular Sharpie, my mini one, or the thin one. Eventually I'm probably going to switch to the big one because this is kind of a long process. If I was just drawing for the sake of calming my mind, I would stick with my skinny pen here and just take my time. But for the sake of the video, I'm probably going to switch to the big one. So you're basically going to color in every other one. So the outside is going to be black. And then I'm going to skip the next ring. I guess you could call them rings, even though it's not a circle. And then I'm going to color in the third one, and then I'm going to color in the fifth one, and all the way until I get to the center. So you're going to end up with this really wavy, kind of random, just concentric pattern. So it's just going to go right into the center. So we're going to do the exact same thing in all the different sections. You'll notice that some of them are not triangles. So they don't have to be triangles. It just happened to be that's what my first one was. So you just keep going until you fill up all your sections. So you can see now on here why I had the doubled up on the original lines that I drew. If you don't double it up, it's just going to have, and it's fine if you don't, to make kind of a white border, I guess. You're just going to have a big, thick black section between the different sections. So either way is fine, but sometimes it might look a little better if you have that doubled up line. Alright, for the second pattern, I'm going to kind of start out in the middle, and you can draw yours wherever you wish. I'm just going to draw a dot. And I'm going to go up maybe, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch or so, and draw a nice circle that's kind of evenly spaced around my dot. Go up maybe, I don't know, another close to a 1/2 inch-ish. And just keep drawing rings. You want at least 3 rings. Obviously, we like to draw in odd numbers, but you want to draw some good sized circles that are relatively evenly spaced. So I'm going to start in the center, right on the dot here, and I'm going to draw some arch lines. So arch out and stop. You're going to come back to the center point each time you draw, and you're going to sort of open them up as they get to the outside. So it starts out skinny or close together, and then as it reaches that outside line, it's going to be further apart. So now we're going to go counterclockwise. Starting on the point from the previous one, I'm going to go the reverse way. So find the next point and go back. And you can see how they get wider, or at least they're supposed to, as they go around. Sometimes it's kind of like that one there. I just messed that one up. I have to turn my paper here. I was just going to say that it's probably easier if I turn my paper, and then I messed up. So you want to have it sort of evenly spaced on the outside of the ring as well as the inside. So you can kind of see as you go around how you need to draw your lines to sort of fill that section. I have one bigger gap where I messed up there, but I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to leave it. So now with the third ring, we're going to go back clockwise again, doing the same pattern. For the last ring, you're going to go counterclockwise again. So you're just going to keep going clockwise, counterclockwise until you've filled up your entire section. This outside ring does get a little bit tricky, so if you're not feeling exactly confident on how you want to put your lines on there, you can certainly draw them in pencil first to make sure that you get that kind of a spirally fan type of line, but it's entirely up to you. I'm gonna go for it, see how I do. Some of the lines will kind of die off and disappear, some will wrap a little bit further around than others, so just keep going with what you think looks good. You can add a lot more things in between your rings as well. So I'm going to add some shading here in just a second to kind of make these little spirals pop off. I'm just using a pencil. I'm going to color my darkest shading right along the inside of the outside of the circle. So the shading is on the inside of this first ring. But again, you can do it however you wish. So if you wanted to, as you're drawing this, you could double up your ring so you could have some room to put something else in between. You could add like a braided look or squares or something like that around the rings before you start drawing these swirly pieces so that you can kind of create a different look. So you can either do the shading or you can play with it. You can do a whole bunch of them right next to each other. Or you can just do one large one like we did here to fill up the section. You can have a lot of fun with this one, so you certainly can play around with that one. Even with this little amount of shading, you can see that it helps make these swirl pieces pop off. So I definitely recommend at the very least that you add some kind of shading in there. And there's our second swirl pattern. I'm just going to kind of breeze over it to kind of smear it a bit. Alright, so we're going to do the last one here. And if you can't tell, we have kind of a spiral or circular type of theme going on. So it sort of starts in the center and goes out. So now we're going to draw our last one. I'm just going to draw a circle here. And I just kind of messed up my line here, so I'm going to double up this one side a little bit. So you don't have to do that. You can just have a standard circle here. I'm going to start with a spiral, and we're going to do a really wavy line, not spiky, jaggedy line. You want a wavy line, and the waves can be the same distance all the way, or as you can see mine, just by habit, get a little bit further apart, a little bit larger waves as I go out. At the very end, you want to die it off into the swirl again. So now you have to kind of see, you want to divide up these spirals around like we did with the last drawing. You want to do these little arched patterns. You want to come off of the top at kind of, so it doesn't look like it's just a straight line. You want to sort of blend your pen in and then die when you get to the next one. So you go along the edge and then stop when you get to the bottom one, or the previous line. You don't want to make them super close together because we're going to put something inside of here. So I'm just going to, as just by habit, my waves get larger as I go around the circle. So in the spiral, so I'm going to have a little bit less bumpy sections or larger sections on this outside ring than I do on the inside. Just keep dividing it up with arch lines however you wish. I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to start on the inside. It's going to be a little bit hard to see at first, but I'm going to basically do a backwards L. So I'm going to come up from the point and work across. Go back to the point and do the same thing without touching the rest of the lines. So you always want to go back to the point you start on, and then you start separating the lines to fill up the section. As you can kind of see on the left, it's a little bit hard to see, but you want to always come back to this starting point on the right, and then the lines go straight out and then curve over. So these lines that I'm drawing as they get out don't touch each other. The only place that they touch is at the center point. And you want to kind of have them wonky and wavy. They don't need to be straight. They should follow the waviness of the section itself. So this one's here kind of just a smooth arch. I'm just going to follow that all the way around, and I'm just going to stop when I get to the next like separating line. Always go back to your center point, or your starting point, excuse me. You can see as you go around that it makes kind of those darker pieces in there. You need that, but it's not quite enough if you ask me. It doesn't really pop off the page. So I'm going to go ahead and add some shading. I'm going to go right along the original arched separating lines that I drew. I'm going to darken those in and then come along the bottom L. So basically in an L shape. So I'm going to do the side and then do the bottom just a little bit. You don't have to go crazy with your shading, but you can make it as dark as you'd like. So if you want this to really pop, you can add a lot of shading. But again, just do a little bit of shading along what would be the left edge of a section and the bottom. There we go. We have 3 nice spiral or circular type of patterns for today. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope that you find different ways to play around with them and use them in your Zentangle patterns. Again, we do have live class twice a month. It's the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of the month, except if there's a holiday, of course, from 6:30 to 7:30 if you wish to join us. I hope that you have a great week. I hope that you have a great day, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye.